What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Okay, man. We're going to continue to talk about this Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder thing. It's a pretty fun conversation to have, man. Lennox Lewis keeps dropping dimes here and there about his why he believes that Anthony Joshua really is not interested in the fight. And this particular comment addresses the purse split that's being offered in a flat fee versus a percentage split of the fight. And Lennox Lewis believes that until Anthony Joshua makes an offer that includes a percentage split of the fight, that he doesn't believe that Anthony Joshua is overly motivated to make the fight. And that's, to me, that's just obvious. That's just obvious. But of course, there's a lot of people who are supportive of Anthony Joshua, and I understand that. But at a certain point in time, man, you gotta just, Lennox Lewis is not hating on Anthony Joshua by saying that. He's just pointing out something. He's just pointing out an obvious issue with the incentive for the fight. Now, before I do that, I want to thank you guys for tuning into the channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. I hope that you accept my invitation to do so. And please tune into the live streams that we do in the morning. We usually do them around 10:15 a.m. Central Time, right after Trail Boxing Talk. So we'll hope to see you there. All right, so this is the quote from Lennox Lewis. "This is the biggest bout in the division. It will be both of their highest paydays ever. And you don't offer a check for this fight. You offer a split. I say 60-40 in AJ's favor, maybe even 70-30, but not a flat fee. I took less to face Holyfield because I wanted to be undisputed." Right? So let's review why you wouldn't be offered a paycheck for the fight. You want a split. And that's because the revenue on the fight is variable. There was a guy that came to my channel yesterday and left this comment because Frank Warren had stated that the money that was generated for Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury was more than the money that was generated for Anthony Joshua, Alexander Povetkin, right? And then I go through the numbers and I say, okay, at a very high level, because there are different categories that constitute the revenue what's a better way? Different channels that revenue is generated through which revenue is generated in a boxing match. Those things being the pay-per-view revenue or licensing fees if it's not pay-per-view. So if it's just on regular television or if it's on an HBO or a Showtime, they pay a licensing fee to the promoter. But they pay a licensing fee to show that. Could be $4 million, could be $5 million. That's in lieu of a pay-per-view where individual people pay to see the fight, and that money goes in, and that's the source of revenue for the fight. The other main source of revenue for a fight is the venue, right? Ticket sales in the venue. Also, there's a cost associated with the venue, which is, how much do you actually pay to have the fight in the venue? Because the venue, like a Wembley or the MGM Grand, right? Whatever, StubHub, Wembley, they charge for the fight, for you to have the fight there, because it costs money to run the organization and they're operating with the intention of making a profit, right? So there are all those different things, right? Those different variables. Now the guy comes to the channel and says that you make an estimate based on without knowing all the variables, including all the variables. Yeah, it's an estimate. right? It's an estimate. I'm not going to count how many hot dogs. I'm not going to take a guess at how many hot dogs and what the percentage split in the hot dog sales are in Wembley Stadium. But you do have different sources of revenue, and those vary. So depending on how well the fight does, right, you can make more money through the venue, right? You can make more money through the pay-per-view. If you have international television rights, you can make more money on international television rights. If you're selling merchandise and T-shirts and, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder cups and memorabilia, all of those things, they get a cut of that. When you offer somebody, when you have all of those things going on, and you tell somebody, but one of the fighters, you give them a flat fee, there is no incentive for them. They cannot take advantage of any of the upside of the fight. So if it does well above expectations and exceeds expectations, that fighter gets nothing out of it. The fighter that is on a percentage, right, gets everything else. And that is why these fights like that never get done like that. Not just the fact that I don't recall a flat fee happening for a major pay-per-view event. I don't know if it's happened. I'm sure somebody took a stupid deal, but that is something that is well outside the norm. It's something that Anthony Joshua did not do he didn't do it with Joseph Parker. He didn't do it with Vladimir Klitschko. I don't believe he did it with Charles Martin. I've never actually heard of him doing that with any other fighter. So why would you offer that to Deontay Wilder when you know that is not and that's not the industry norm? That is not the way the deals like this are typically done. And it's not a deal that he wants. If he was absolutely pushed to the brink and had to take the fight, and that's the best offer that he could possibly get, and he had no other options, maybe he would take it. But that's not something that he is interested in doing. And it's not a fair proposition when you're using his name, just like Anthony Joshua's name, to promote the fight. It's a big fight for both of them. If Anthony Joshua was serious about it, he would make an offer to Deontay Wilder that Deontay Wilder would be willing to accept. 60-40, 70-30, whatever it is, it would the very least would be on a percentage basis. But it would also have things like rematch clauses. If Deontay Wilder is a WBC champion, the WBC champion should have a rematch clause. My understanding is that he was not offered a rematch clause. It was if Anthony Joshua loses, there's going to be a rematch. If it's a draw or Deontay Wilder loses, no rematch. That is not something that somebody who puts their championship belt on the line would be happy about. It's not something. You've got to make a deal where it is not just the money, but the things like the rematch clause, things like the type of gloves, the size of the ring, all of those type of things, the location of the fight, all of those things should be discussed. And they should get as close to being happy with the situation as they possibly can. When you're talking about two guys that if they came together would make the biggest fight in that division, if not in boxing. More than likely it's the biggest fight in boxing if it's in the United States. It's not, and when I say biggest, I'm talking about the biggest financially the biggest, the most lucrative fight. It's probably the most lucrative fight if it happens in the US. But now definitely the location of the fight. If you're saying 60-40, if Deontay Wilder took 60-40, then why would Deontay Wilder want to fight in the UK? when he's now going to get 40% of a smaller piece of the pie, right? But anyway, it is what it is, man. 40% of a smaller pie. 40% is not, it'd be the same piece of the pie or same percentage piece of the pie. But that's why I don't believe that Anthony Joshua is serious, because you can about trying to make it. And I've said this before, I'm going to say this again. If you have it in your power to make the fight and you don't make an offer that somebody else is happy with, that's on you, especially when you have the ability to offer that. So, we'll see what's happening, but I'll tell you what's happening. Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are not going to fight next. I don't believe that April 13th, they were ever serious about April 13th, even the way that they went about that, the in the media negotiations for April 13th. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm quite sure that AJ fans who will not have listened to this video all the way, you'll never make it this far in the video, man. I should do like a test and say orange, right? So what color did I just name in the middle of this video? You guys will complain about it and never make it here, right? But anyway, it is what it is. Hopefully, eventually, we can get an undisputed champion in the heavyweight division. I just don't really see that being the case unless somehow Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and Luis Ortiz retire. Because Anthony Joshua is more than likely just going to continue to fight guys that he really is not at too much of a risk to lose to, and keep riding it like that, and it is what it is. But anyway, with that, I'm out. Peace.